Will Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks finally take a step this season? Will the Utah Mammoth take another huge step and get into the playoffs? And ultimately, who will be the kings of this Central Division? This is our Central Division preview and predictions video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. More content in the way, and let's get right into it with our 8, 7, and 6 teams.
At number 8, it is the Chicago Blackhawks. So I guess that answers the first question already.
I'll just say right now, I'm with you. I have them at number 8 as well.
At number 7, I'm keeping it similar to last year. I'm putting the Nashville Predators. And at number 6, it is a little bit of a surprise. They did make the playoffs last year. I'm having the St. Louis Blues.
Little bit of surprise. But for me, my 8, 7, 6 teams were the easiest to predict in this. I don't know why. I just had it easily there. As the top 5, that was very tough for me to figure out. But number 8, I already said it was the Chicago Blackhawks. Number 7, I agree with you. It's the Nashville Predators. But number 6, I have the Minnesota Wild. And we'll get right into it. Chicago very quickly here. I just don't see them taking another step this year. I do not like their coach hire with Jeff Blashill coming in. He did not do a good job with Detroit, except he made the playoffs the first year, and after that, it was losing season after losing season, and he was there for quite a bit. And I don't know if he's going to do the same. I mean, yes, coaches get a second chance. They learn from their second opportunity. I understand that. Some take that opportunity and run with it. Some don't. And then it's probably the end of their career as a head coach potentially. But I don't see it happening with this roster. I do not like this roster. I know for a fact Connor Bedard will bounce back. I know for a fact that he's eyeing that Team Canada Olympic roster and he should be good. But does he have the right pieces around him offensively and even on the defensive side to take
There's only one player we're looking at, and that is Connor Bedard, right?
And not because he wants to be a Vancouver Canuck.
Like you said, the Chicago Blackhawks don't have the greatest surrounding pieces at the moment still. I know they locked up Spencer Knight, which is obviously
and Frank
hit
Nazar.
or miss because Spencer Knight has shown potential as a backup and shown flashes, but he hasn't.
He was not bad.
He hasn't shown
with the Panthers last year.
Exactly, but that's what it is as a backup though, right?
No, but even
he hasn't
when
shown flashes. As
there were moments where the regular season he was
moments, flashes.
No. I'm not saying moments like that. I'm saying that there was a time period where Spencer Knight's the guy ahead of Bobrovsky.
It's not consistency. That's what we haven't seen for Spencer Knight. That's the
point.
But
then again, he didn't get the opportunity here. He'll get the opportunity.
That's the thing, bro. He didn't do good and that great with the Blackhawks.
But it's hard for goalies to get traded mid-season and get going.
I know all that other stuff. But they locked him out early, and that's a risk. That's what I'm trying to say here. The reason why it's a risk because he's not consistent. It's as simple as that right now. Because Spencer Knight, I know he has dealt with his personal issues as well, and obviously I'm glad he dealt with it. But he got this hype when he was drafted.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Exactly. He hasn't lived up to it. It's as simple as that. That's the fact. That's where the risk is. That's where the risk is.
But I get what you're saying.
You have faith. Yeah, that's fair, right? But
Wait, do you have
that's
faith?
the
Let me
fact.
ask you. Do you have faith?
Yes, but I'm saying what is happening right now. That's what the case is for me and Spencer Knight. But Spencer Knight aside, the question mark is Connor Bedard, and that's it right now because there's not enough talent for this team to really progress. But one guy has to, and that is Connor Bedard. And when you're looking at it, this is a year, in my opinion, where you could start having actual opinions on Connor Bedard. Because we saw the rookie year, and we saw he had a good rookie year. We saw the sophomore slump, which is, fair, and it happens across all sports. But the third year is where you're going to see a player. Is he going to bounce back? Is he letting the noise get to him? Because last year we did see some frustrations in his play. And like you said, there's a roster spot, Canada Olympic roster spot that could be on the line.
I'm sure he's hearing the noise that, Macklin Celebrini is ahead of him, and Macklin Celebrini is going to get to his second year.
And like you said, is he going to be better? That's the faith I have. I do believe he's going to be better. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's the only talking point in Chicago.
But the thing with him is he hasn't signed his rookie extension yet, who he's eligible to soon, I guess. And obviously, as Canucks fans, we're hoping he could find a way to come home, and I get that. But if you're being at the end of the day, Connor Bedard could be fine. The problem is he might still have a quote unquote down year. It's just because in my opinion, the surrounding pieces aren't great.
But that doesn't matter. You gotta shine though. He hasn't shined. He didn't shine last year. We gotta see the spark. We gotta see some sort of light coming out of Chicago, and that light is obviously Connor Bedard. But let's move on to our 7th place team, which is the Nashville Predators. And I'm gonna start by saying this caveat and get this right out of the way. UC Saros needs to step up because he did not have a good year last year. And obviously, the Nashville Predators are built kind of like the Vancouver Canucks, kind of like the New York Rangers, where if they have to have strong goaltending play to be a successful team. And last year did not get that. And this year, we'll see if he does step up. I don't expect this team to be at 7th. But in terms of when looking at the overall roster, this roster is just getting older and older, and I don't think it's going to get too much better.
It was a weirder team because the year they made the playoffs, we're like, they're gonna be meh. They made the playoffs. They made the moves of Stamkos and Marchessault. We're like, this team is gonna take a step forward. It was the complete opposite. It was a mess. I agree with you. Soros needs to be at the top of his game 100%. Like, not a lot of the games that they lost were on Soros as well. But at the end of the day, you have the reputation of being that elite level goalie.
And that's how they're built.
And he did get benched at Four Nations as well for Kevin Lankinen to a certain degree as well. But like overall, this team is just old. I really wanted to put them last. But then Chicago is not like, for me, San Jose and Chicago had a slight difference because the vibes from last year, which is why I went with San Jose, at least taking that one play step forward. This team, I couldn't do that. I still think they have decent enough talent. Like, I'm going to ask you this. If you look at this roster, I have it pulled up right here. Do you think they're better than the Kraken on paper?
Yeah, I do think they're better than Kraken.
I know they're in a tough division. Just forget that.
They're better than Kraken. Like, you tell me you have a likes of Stamkos, Marchessault, Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly. Like, that's a talented roster, right? With Roman Josi in the back end. With UC Soros
Brady
in there.
Shea needs to be good this year. He was not great
and also
last year.
Brady Shea, if he's on his game, you have Brady Shea. So, like, this roster on paper and based on reputation is much better than Seattle Kraken.
But, like, at the end of the day, we have to see it, right? And, like, again, aging roster. Those guys still have some young pieces that can get going. Andrew Brunette, I think, is literally on the hot seat because after what happened last year, you expected them to be way better than they were supposed to be. So which means I think he's in the ultimate hot seat. I'm not saying he's on the hottest hot seat. I still think that's Jim Hiller in LA. But at the end of the day, if you look at this division is stacked. Like I said, 8, 7, and 6 for me were relatively easy because the top 5 were somewhat hard to predict. In my personal opinion, I know we have a differ at number 6 here, but I think all the teams ahead of them are somewhat better than them when it comes to it. Now, every time we talk about Nashville, it's been flipped. And I think that's what I think it was Barry Trotz who said that. He's like, every year we've gotten it wrong with them. So now this year we're on the low end, which means next thing you know, they might be a top 3, 4 seed. Who knows for all we know. But
I mean, we had faith in this roster last year. Yeah. So like, I won't be super
I don't know what can
surprised.
Change for it. Yeah.
I won't be super surprised because at the end of the day, like, if you're looking at in terms of like the rosters itself across the Central Division, like, they're talented rosters from up and down all the way except for Chicago.
Yeah.
But so I won't be surprised if these guys do take a jump forward. But based on like what happened last year and just them not being able to hit, I just don't see it really happening. And obviously, like you said, they are getting a little bit older. But I'm gonna move on to number 6. And the reason why I have the St. Louis Blues here, it's not because the St. Louis Blues are much worse than the Utah Mammoth or the Minnesota Wild or like. I won't say like top 3 for me is pretty solidified, and not in terms of order, but like, you know, who is it going to be?
Yeah.
But like, these guys are going to be battling for a wild card spot 100%. It's just that the division is so competitive. But I'm just looking at certain pieces where like I just feel like I like the rising factor of Utah. I don't like the name, but I like the rising factor of Utah, and I just genuinely feel I feel better about Minnesota's core than I do about St. Louis's core. And the Minnesota core is, when you're looking at it, Kaprizov, Boldy, Faber, Brodin, Gustafsson. Like, those players are studs. Those players were, obviously, Russia wasn't in there, but like, you know, those are literally national team players. Like, these guys will be in the Olympics, you know, because most of these guys were in the Four Nations last year. That's a talented, literal, you know, solid play. Those are talented players that they have, and I just like that better than, you know. I know, and I'm not. This is nothing against Robert Thomas or Jordan Kyrou.
Robert Thomas is underrated,
or like Jordan Binnington or all that stuff. But it just like, I just generally feel a little bit better about the Minnesota one, and I feel like because we saw when healthy last year, Minnesota was, you know, up there in that division race. So we saw like the best version of these guys, you know, be up there.
But then we also saw the best version of St. Louis on the stretch.
You know, but that's the thing. That's where I'm getting confused about St. Louis, is because we saw it on a run. We didn't see it throughout the whole year. Yeah. Whereas in my opinion, Minnesota was kind of like, even with the injuries, they were kind of more level throughout the whole entire season.
Here's the thing with Minnesota, right? I have them at 6. You could say they have probably the second best forward in this division, second best player, depending on how you rank Cale Makar. So let's say top 3 as a consensus. Not looking at goaltending, right? Because I know Connor Hellebuyck's in here as well. I'm talking about pure skaters. He's probably second or third behind Makar and McKinnon, right? Whatever order you want to put it in. Huh?
I'll give third.
Yeah. So like in that case, out of the forwards, he's definitely number 2. I don't think you disagree with that. His health is concerning. That's number 1. Last year he played half the games. The reason why they were good last year, their start was insane. And Kaprizov was arguably the Hart favorite because of that.
And they were healthy.
And he's a bona fide superstar, don't get me wrong. But the problem is, again, the health. After the Four Nations, Joel Eriksson, Ekman missed a lot of time, and I get that. You had, obviously, we know what Spurs' health defensively is sometimes for Spurgeon and all these guys. And right now, Jonas Burdin is listed as out. I don't know what his full status is when it comes to it. He's obviously not on the IR, which means I expect him to get into the lineup in the regular season pretty quickly. But the drama behind Kaprizov rejecting that $16 million contract lingers, in my opinion. The whole Marco Rossi situation, him being benched in the playoffs, and you were looking to actively trade him. Vancouver was rumored to give up the 15th overall pick, which they rejected, and they finally signed him a couple of weeks before training camp. They might be the intent, and right now he's listed as a top line center. That's somewhat concerning. Boldy's a stud. Don't get me wrong. The drama, I just think they're still a mid team. I don't know if like the top line. Yes, if Rossi is going, Boldy, Kaprizov, if that's the line there, solid. Don't get me wrong. I do like the defensive pieces they have too, but I just compared to St. Louis, I like St. Louis' team as a whole on paper than I like Minnesota's. I don't know if that's far fetched. That's just how I feel.
They
have the best player out of the 2 teams.
Yeah, no, I'm banking it on the star power because I think they have the best 2. I think Faber is definitely going to be out, and Boldy.
Yeah.
Like I think they might have like I know Robert Thomas is still be the conversation. Bonafide, they have Kaprizov better.
Yeah.
Wherever you have it, like Boldy, Robert Thomas, and Faber coming like more in a similar conversation, in my opinion. At the moment, I do believe they have the more consistent goaltender as well in Philip Gustafsson. But then again, they are very close in terms of if you're putting it in tiers. Here's why I don't think this Kaprizov drama is too much, because they've been very open about making him the highest paid player in the NHL. So which is like, in my opinion, not too worrying in that sense. You make a fair point in terms of injuries, but my counterpoint to that is like when we saw them last year, even with the injuries, these guys stayed level, right?
They were relatively 500 during that stretch, though. Which is
because
they had a good start.
Which is when we saw them at their best.
Yeah,
right. We see what team these guys can be. And did you not see the playoffs against Vegas? We thought these guys were a pushover.
Because Kaprizov came back, and I get that.
They weren't a pushover. And when we saw these guys, they kept it level. We didn't doubt. A little bit near the end, we're like, oh, maybe they could fall out of the playoff spot, but they didn't. They didn't falter at all. So that's where I have a little bit of hope more for the Minnesota Wild than the St. Louis Blues. And like me talking about Blues, like this is just a gut feeling. It's just a genuine prediction. It's very tight. It's very close between the 4, 5, and 6 for me in this division. But like when you're looking at players like Dylan Holloway did really good with them. Philip Broberg did really good with them.
Yeah.
We know that Colton Parayko, when healthy, is obviously a stud, and obviously he showed that in the Four Nations. I think Robert Thomas, if he plays well again, could make their
GM is the guy.
Should make the
same thing with Minnesota. Their GM
roster.
is the guy for USA.
So like this is genuinely not like a knock on St. Louis. It just like I just genuinely favor the star power more than
I get it. I should have said 8, 7, and 6 were super easy for me. 8, 7 were the easiest. Don't get me wrong. I get the argument for 6 to 5. So we'll get to our 5 and 4s then, because like at the end of the day, yes, I do like. The more I look at this team, yes, I do like it. But I just like. Listen, John Hines did a good job coaching them last year. I'm not denying that. But what St. Louis getting in Jim Montgomery, there's a reason why they went out and got him, and the reason why they went on that stretch was because of Jim Montgomery. So we'll get into our 5 and 4. But before we get into 5 and 4, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We already started our season preview and predictions for divisions, and we already finished our Pacific Division 1 as well. So we're going to be dropping our remaining 2. We have a tier list. We have so much planned for this NHL season. We want you guys to hit that subscribe button. We do not want to miss it. We will start being more consistent on this channel now that the season is starting. And comment down below your predictions and preview your predictions for the Central Division, how it's going to go. We like to comment. We like to engage in the comments with you guys as well, and we really appreciate it if you guys do that as well. But let's get right to it. The 2 teams that we considered in the wildcard spot, the 5 and 4 slots, I said for me it's the St. Louis Blues, and number 4 for me is the Utah Mammoth.
At number 5, I have the Utah Mammoth. And at number 4, I have the Minnesota
So
Wild.
I'll continue to talk with St. Louis because we were talking about that as well. On paper, again, like as a whole, I like this team more. Yes, can Dylan Holloway continue what he did last year? Can Philip Broberg continue what he did last year? I have faith that they could do it. There's a reason why they got rid of Drew Bannister immediately the minute Boston got rid of Jim Montgomery, because it was like the worst kept secret that he was gonna go back to St. Louis. And Jim Montgomery, we know, is a damn good coach, and he proved that last year, and he proved that with Boston all those years that he coached there as well.
I mean, he has the best regular season.
Yeah,
ever.
literally, right? And then I'm look at the offense. They're like, yes, they got to bank on Robert Thomas being healthy. I know that's the reason why he didn't make 4 Nations, is because he was hurt around right before that time as well. Bringing in a guy like Pius Suter, the guy had a career year with Vancouver. Yes, is he gonna have like that high shooting percentage and all that again? No, because he's not gonna be the top line center, especially with PD was struggling there last year and then ultimately ended up getting hurt. We saw how he was, but he's a very good defensive forward as well. He's like, we don't understand how we got him. The Canucks got him for cheap, and even before that, the teams before him got for cheap. He earned that contract. We thought he was gonna get more. We thought he was gonna get close to Granlund money, or at least closer to $5-6 million. He ended up getting a cheap deal, and he's like your second or third line center. I don't hate that for this team. Right? Like in a perfect world, you want either Braden Shen and Pius Suter, one of them to be your third line center guys. And obviously, as of right now, daily faceoff at this current moment of recording has them centering Dylan Holloway and Jordan Kyrou. I don't hate that. Jordan Kyrou is a really good player. Dylan Holloway showed what he did last year, right? So over like that way, I like the team. We know how good Pavel Puchinevich can be, right? Already you mentioned Robert Thomas. And then you go down to the defensive side of things. Colton Parayko, you've mentioned. Philip Broberg, you mentioned. Cam Fowler was a good ad for them last year from Anaheim, and he stepped up for them big time. They made a trade with Montreal to get Logan Mayo in. I cannot say I know too much about him. I understand he had a little bit of drama during draft period, and he played certain games with the Canadians. But we'll see how he ends up fitting here. But again, like if I compare this team to defensively to Minnesota, I'm not gonna say they're better than them or worse than them. I might give Minnesota the slight edge because they have a guy like Brock Faber, they have Jared Spurgeon, they have Jonas Berdine when healthy. I get that, but I don't hate like this team defensively.
It's not bad, solid. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then goaltending, yeah, you have 2 Canadians, Jordan Bennington, Joel Hofer, who like Jordan Bennington outside after his rookie year winning the cup has been very inconsistent, has been a hothead. Joel Hofer showed signs that he can be that guy to fill in if he needs to. So I don't hate this goalie tandem personally myself either. So that's why like I think overall. Plus, they compared to Minnesota, they've been the relatively, in my opinion, more healthy team. I do like Jim Montgomery more as a coach than I do like John Hines, but nothing against John Hines. I just think St. Louis, from top to bottom, and that stretch last year, they're the reason why the Canucks and Calgary couldn't get in with those.
Yeah, it was a great. It was a historic
that's the main
run,
reason
sure.
why I have them ahead of Minnesota.
Yeah, it's fair, right? This predictions is gonna be tough, especially
how close these
separating
teams
the
are.
middle of the pack for the Central Division. But when I'm looking at number 5, Utah Mammoth. I like Gunther, obviously. You like Cooley, you like Schmaltz, you like Keller, right? You like the ads of Sergachev and them being aggressive the last couple of years. And then the question mark for me is like the goaltending here. And I'm not saying really questioning the ability too much because we saw Vejmelka and Connor Ingram step up.
Connor Ingram survived.
Right? But here's the issue. It just feels like the last couple of years, these goalies level went down as the season went on, which kind of cost them. Like we saw the Utah Mammoth make a run last year in the mid part of the season, but it leveled out because we saw the goaltending either be injured because one, they're getting a lot of pressure on them, and number 2, either just drop off because of them getting a little bit more
Connor
tired.
Ingram hit waivers, so like as of right now, Vitek Vanacek is their backup goalie at the moment. But here's the thing, right? I'm gonna go into my number 4 here because like I'll just go back and forth with you. They also added JJ Peterka, who's a really good ad for them from Buffalo.
Like the forward group is like you're looking
their
at
forward
a very
group is nuts.
It's a really good forward group.
They're the reason why they're a fun team to watch because of their forward group and people. What they like a casual fan especially or like people that love watching hockey, they want to see offense no matter what sport you play.
Yeah, no, the offense is good. The question mark comes from the goal prevention.
I get that, right? Like Mikhail Sergachev was really good for them last year. John Marino, it needs to be healthy, was good. Like Ian Cole is a steady guy there. They're bringing Nate Schmidt now, who won a cup with the classic Florida thing, right? You play well for them, you're gonna get a nice contract. And then
like
somewhere.
you're seeing like
Sean Jersey, solid.
Yeah. Just to add to the Nate Schmidt part, you saw OEL after a Florida run play well for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So like I don't expect Nate Schmidt to fall off either. And
like overall, like team wise, I guess the question mark comes down to coaching because Tourigny,
I don't know.
I forgot how you say the. I forgot how you say the name, but their head coach isn't the Utah guy. He was there. He came over from Arizona. So yes, if they finish where you predict them to finish, or they have a slow start, he's up there in my opinion that could potentially get fired as a coach. But he's also in contention of potentially being a coach of the year because yes, I have him fourth place. I will be surprised if they do hit the top three, depending on assuming everybody's healthy, in the top three. But like I believe in this team that like Ryan Smith has done a good job. What Arizona's never done in terms of ownership, right? You got the perfect practice facility, and as Canucks fans, we cringe at that word right at the moment because of the only team essentially being not having a team because we know Calgary's gonna get one now. He's taking care of the team. You could tell the vibes are good with this team and all that. So I do think this team is going to take a step forward because I think Dylan Guenther took a massive step last year as a player, right? We know how good Clayton Keller is, and he should be on Team USA, in my opinion, this coming year. Hayden took a nice step last year as well because some people considered him being the one big reason why we got, I think, Quinn Hughes at the time was because Arizona went and took him and then dropped, like at the time, Zadina never panned out to what he was supposed to be. Zadina was supposed to be going ahead of him, and obviously we got Quinn Hughes out of it, and obviously the Kotkaniemi pick there. But like, yeah, I am high on the Utah Mammoth, right? I said that. I might consider them being a playoff team for me. Yes, if they were in the Pacific, I might have put them in the top three easily.
That's fair.
In my opinion. But in this division, it's very tough, but I feel like the strides last year were not a fluke, is what I'm trying to say.
No, they've been taking steps forwards over the years, but at the end of the day, the reason why I have them fifth is, like I said before, I have more faith in the Minnesota star power than over Utah's and St. Louis, even though St. Louis might have a little bit more better depth. Same with Utah, especially on the forward side. But when you have guys like Kaprizov, Faber, and Boldy, and Joel Eriksson, I'll throw him in there as well. Like, I have more faith in that. I have more faith in their goaltending. I think Philip Gustafsson,
which is fair.
Philip Gustafsson is legit compared to the Arizona guy. Not Arizona, the Utah guys. But when I'm looking at it, that's the reason why. But at the end of the day, the 5, 6, and 7, or not the 5, 6, the 4, 5, 6, it has to be very close, right? I know you corrected yourself from the beginning saying that like your bottom 3 was easy, but like let's be honest, it's really not.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you low-key disrespected Minnesota when you said that.
I know.
You genuinely fully disrespected Minnesota.
I was just more higher on Utah and St. Louis when I first did the prep for it, and then I looked at it after listening to you, so that's why I corrected myself after hearing your point. So good job.
That's it. But let's move on.
Before we move on,
you have your.
Do you like the name Mammoth?
No, I already said it.
No, but like why? I guess.
I don't know. It just doesn't. It just feels like a word.
What the fuck?
It's just like a random. It's just like they just had to think of something.
I mean, Utah's a cold like city or state, like Salt Lake City and all that.
I like the Yeti better.
But Yeti was copyrighted. That was the unfortunate
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
So you would have been fine with Kepling Hockey Club.
We'll see if they got it like
I don't hate the logo. I mean, you see the picture.
The logo's not bad, but like the name,
People think it's like definitely like NHL, like the video game generator type.
Yeah.
But
let's go. Top 3.
Yeah,
we know it's the top 3. That's been the top 3 for the last few years. It's just that what is the order? But one thing that's feels a little bit more consistent in the order is that Colorado is usually finishing 3 now. So I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm gonna have Winnipeg at 2, and I'm gonna have Dallas winning the Central.
All right, so we kept it the same here. I have Colorado 3, Winnipeg 2, Dallas 1. I did want to drop off of Winnipeg a little bit. The reason why I have Colorado at 3. There's still some unpredictability because we don't know what's happening with Marty Necas, because there's rumors that he still might get traded during the year, and we saw this team. This is a team that did trade Mikko Rantanen, by the way. So yeah. I don't think Necas is safe for any chance in that sense either. Last year, the biggest hole was the second line center. Casey Millsap did not do good, so you moved on and you got Brock Nelson. But Brock Nelson did not play well when he got to Colorado.
He had especially a stinker in the playoffs. He had a stinker.
They ended up re-extending him because what other options did you really have? Like, look at the Canucks. They don't have anyone, right?
Let's see, if we give him the adjustment period, because obviously he's been an Islander for like.
And guess who's back? Landeskog. Officially, not for the regular season. Your captain's back, your leader's back. So, like, I don't hate their top 6 with Valerie Nichushkin, Nate McKinnon, Marty Necas, Brock Nelson, Gabe Landeskog, Arturi Lehkonen. Last year, what was their concern for me was the bottom 6. I still feel that way with these guys. We'll see how it ends up going. Defense.
I mean, look at this. Last year there was more than that concern. Last year the concern was Georgiev. Let's be honest.
Well, I know that.
And
I'm talking about the forwards.
But like, yeah, I'm just gonna touch on that right now. I thought Mackenzie Blackwood had a good playoff.
Oh yeah, he was consideration for Team Canada.
Yeah, I think he did play really well for them. And I think he will do good job still, because like you're gonna go into right now, the defense is obviously one of the best.
Yeah,
One of the
I
best,
mean,
just top to bottom.
Yeah,
in the
like
NHL.
they got the Woods there, right? Blackwood and Wedgwood. That's
Yeah.
what they changed the goalie tandem up there.
But like when you
I
look
know
at
Sam Girard has been out for a bit. I remember, but like,
but it's just like you got Taze and McCarr, like obviously one of the best pairings.
That's probably
like,
the best pairing
in the NHL, right? You still have Josh Manson, who's still a stud. Like you said, Sam Girard, who's not healthy right now, but again, he is good when he's healthy. So like overall, you're looking at this defense group
They
is like
added
solid.
vet presence with Brent Burns, old man Brent Burns. Let's see how he ends up doing. Can he
Is he-
be fine?
Yeah, that's the funny part. Like, if the Colorado Avalanche somehow find a way to win the cup this year, like obviously Ben Burns is not the level of Ray Bork, but like it's gonna give you that sort of vibes where like it potentially in his like 22nd year,
Yeah.
probably maybe potentially his last year.
Bruh. Brent Burns has been in the league for so long.
Yeah, I know. So, but like a really good defenseman winning a cup in his like probably final year, 22nd year, it kind of gives you like little bit of deja vu. Obviously,
Hold up. Was he in Minnesota?
yeah, he started off in Minnesota.
That's where it was. Okay, yeah. So I remember him in
That's where he was
Minnesota.
a forward, right?
No, kind of. I think he was
Yeah.
still like playing defense. Like he's 40-year-old. They're gonna be 41 in March. I remember him in all his stops. That's like at the age, like that's pretty nuts for a guy who's not obviously he's not a journeyman. This is his fourth team, but at the end of his career, might be his retirement year for all we know. But the reason why I have him 3 is because of out of the other 2 teams, and I know one of them got a new coach, and we'll talk about that in a second. Is this like I think completely rounded out? I like those 2 teams better. They have the best player. They have the best 2 players probably in the whole division.
Here's what you're looking at when the Colorado Avalanche is like, you literally have that stud top line,
Yeah.
which is kind of like what I wanted for the Vancouver Canucks when we were talking about our Pacific Division.
Yeah.
But like obviously everything else after that is not the greatest, right? But then you have the good defense. You have an answer in the goal right now. So like that's what makes this team, good. And obviously that top line, whoever is in it, like, because obviously they might split it up a little bit, like splitting up McKinnon and Landeskog and Natchez, whatever they do. But like that top line is really good. But like you said, it's not as well-rounded as like, the Winnipeg Jets, which we're going to get into, because 1, they have the best goalie in the world. 2, this team defensively is already solid. 3, you have probably like 2 good lines, at least like 2 very solid lines for the Winnipeg Jets.
So their biggest concern for me, because I did have Colorado second at one point. When
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I dropped them back because I feel like they had the bigger question marks than them. Jonathan Taze is, first of all, he's back in the NHL. Like the way he went out, you don't want him to go out the way he went out for a bit, and we all thought he was done, right? But he as your second line center, that's concerning.
That obviously is concerning.
At this point, like guy who hasn't played for a couple of years now, I want to say, and even when he was in Chicago, it wasn't like there were really good teams down the stretch there. That's the concerning part for me. I know Adam Lowry is out to start the year, or like he is out at the moment. He's not healthy, but like again, the top line of Nate McKinnon, Nushkin really good, but this top line of Kyle Connor, contract year for him. Mark Scheifele, Gabe Lardy is also nuts.
Yeah, and then you look at the third line as well, like with Iafallo, Nemesnikov, and Niederreiter is really solid as well. When you look at the second line, you have a guy like Cole Perfetti who is literally coming into his own.
Last year. They brought in Gustav Nyquist.
Yeah, and again, like
solid for Nashville.
This second line, obviously, like you said, we don't know what John Tate is going to be. Gustav Nyquist does provide a little bit of offensive punch, but like the main guy you're looking in that line is Cole Perfetti, and if he continues his development and progression, that guy's going to be a stud, and he will be like the main driver of that line.
And then defensively, we had to talk about it. Josh Morrissey, underrated defenseman, like he's up there. I forgot him to put him on freaking top 10 EA rankings when we did our TikTok and all that stuff, which by the way, make sure you guys follow down. It's linked down below as well, our TikTok and Instagram. But yeah, Josh Morrissey, Dylan DeMello, solid, Neil Pionk. Like they missed some of these guys, I think, during the playoffs last year as well. You bring in a guy like Luke Shen now, who's a steady right shot defenseman for these guys. We know them. He knows his role. Third line pairing guy. We know what it is. And then to top it off, you have like the best goalie in the world. Probably like only person that you could say in contendership to him right now is Shesterkin. But when it comes to regular season, there's a reason why this guy won the Hart. As much as maybe Draisaitl may have deserved it too, don't get me wrong. But there's a reason he was a big reason why Winnipeg was by far and away the best team in that NHL last year.
Yeah, obviously, like the massive start they had was like him being at a 1.5 goals against average,
and even like Eric Comrie wasn't bad for them either. But like
over 9 950 save percentage
to start the year, yeah,
right?
something
Like that insane run. Like what I think they went
But-
14-1 in their first 15 games, which is absolutely insane.
But I think that's just the ultimate high that I feel like they're not going to be able to do exactly what they did last year, which is why
But you also-
I had them second. I believe
And
that's why you had them
thing,
second.
yeah. Last thing I wanted to add was just like you got to give a lot of credit to Scott Arniel
Yeah.
because this guy when he came in as a like an interim replacement for Rick Bowness when Rick Bowness had to take
Like
a
when he
leave of
stepped
absence.
in, like not,
Yeah.
yeah, like when he stepped
No,
in.
when he stepped in, yeah, not in like well, it was technically interim, but like
Yeah.
But in his absence, the Winnipeg Jets did not fall off at all. They might have looked even better. And obviously, we knew that he was gonna be the main candidate when Bonus eventually left, and obviously he was, and like he hasn't really looked back since.
But number one for both of us, it is the Dallas Stars, and I'm gonna start off with the biggest question mark here. They didn't move off of Pete DeBoer, right? Can Glenn Gulletson, who is gonna have a second chance with Dallas, who did not make the playoffs with his first tenure, can do this? That's where it made it tough because like I don't know, like I'll be honest, we don't know much about Glenn Gulletson, too much. I know he assisted the Canucks for a little bit, but like overall as a coach, we don't know how he's gonna be. While seeing his like record, all that. But I just think this team is way too talented for even a guy like him to fuck it up, in my opinion, at the end of the day.
Here's the thing. You're having Rantanen from the beginning. You're having Rantanen with a off-season training camp and a preseason. So I expect him to be firing from the get-go. Obviously, last year where we saw an adjustment period from him being in Carolina and obviously the Dallas Stars. The big question mark when I'm looking at the forward group is right now is with Jason Robertson. Because obviously there was some drama saying that are they going to trade him? Are they not? Are they going to offer him an extension? Are they not?
Because they paid Matt Duchene again.
And like when you're looking at it, like why Johnson was a stud for him. Matt Duchene was like, I think at one point their leading point getter last year or like top two. Well, if he's going to have that sort of similar to run because like these guys have their like second line center, third line centers like answered. Like those are solid like with Hintz, Johnson and Matt Duchene, like these guys get points and play good hockey.
They have a top 5 player in Rantanen. We know he's going to be motivated. Again, at the end of the day, you got to find a way to motivate yourself. There's a reason why he went to Dallas. To pretty much stick the middle finger towards Colorado.
And he did.
What the hell? Yeah, and in the playoffs, he did that.
He did that. After that,
they are without their captain to start the year. Jamie Benn is going to be out for a little bit because I think he got a punctured lung. But at the end of the day, again, like Sam Steele, like these players stepped up when they needed to. Yes, there was a stint during the year where they were awful when they blew it against the Canucks, and after that, they ended off the season terrible. Right?
It was so
to
weird.
the point where we thought Colorado was gonna beat them. I think you did say that.
I gave it to Colorado.
Yeah,
this thing was so weird because they went on this like 6-game winning streak.
Yeah,
right before that losing streak, but everyone was convinced that this is the most flukiest.
Yeah, because I've heard analysts come on and say like that.
6 game, because obviously like that's when you saw Jake Onger like
nuts
go on his insane runs.
Yeah,
but then when Jake Onger came back down to earth a little bit, they went on this crazy 6-game losing streak where you thought. Like you said, like to the point where I picked Colorado in the first round because like these guys were coming in on a massive cold streak. But one thing I'm gonna say, which we're gonna move on to the defense, when you're looking at a top 3, which ones are really better than the Dallas Stars? Because you have Miro Heiskanen, you have Thomas Harley who has really come into his own, and you have Esa Lundell.
I mean, I gotta look at it.
Like obviously, like this is like off our top of our head right now, but like, and you're looking at like the best 3 defensemen on each team. The Dallas Stars is going to be in that conversation because those are some studs.
The way Harley performed in the Four Nations when he had to come in for when McCarr ended up getting hurt. Heiskanen obviously missed a lot of time last year, right before the Four Nations,
but we already know who he is.
Yeah. And then Esa Lundell is a stud himself. Like overall, that was their Finland duo, anyways. There. It's gonna, defensively, they have the top 3. They have 3 top 4 guys easily. One of them, you could argue Harley's a top 2 guy, but like for sure, Heiskanen. Can Niels Lundqvist step forward? Like when they traded for him, they gave up I believe a first round pick. They thought, he was gonna be a stud for them. He hasn't been the greatest, and we'll see how Lubushkin, I think, was solid for them last year. Bichel was solid for them last year because I paid attention to these guys a little bit more. And then after the goaltending, again, tandem wise, Ottinger and DeSmith. Solid.
So
As long as Ottinger does not play Oilers for whatever reason, especially in the playoffs, Jake Ottinger is top 7 goalie in the NHL, top 5 goalie in the NHL when it comes to start to the end of the year. Casey Smith is one of the better backups in the NHL, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what Glenn Gulson's gonna deploy. I think that's more of we'll see in the playoff time, because in the regular season, I don't think much should change. We'll see. If it does, then we know it's probably Gulletson. I'm gonna just say it right there.
If the Dallas Stars are struggling, it's the coach. It's as simple as that.
And I mean, to be fair, they did struggle down the stretch last year, and we know what ended up happening. But then Pete DeBoer always finds a way to blame people, and we knew the Fleury situation when he was in Vegas, and again, for whatever reason, it's goalies. And then with Ottinger, he admitted himself that, okay, maybe I should have, how I said it wasn't the case. But at the end of the day, I feel like top to bottom, this is still the best team, arguably in the Western Conference. We'll just see if they can get over the hump in the playoffs when it matters the most. Strictly the conference finals.
Yeah, because the Vegas and 2 Edmonton losses were not good.
So to wrap it up, 8-7 for both of us. Chicago, Nashville. 6 for me was the Minnesota Wild. 6 for you was the St. Louis Blues. 5 for me was the St. Louis Blues. 5 for you was the Utah Mammoth. 4 for you was the Minnesota Wild. 4 for me was the Utah Mammoth. And then our top 3 were consensus: Colorado 3, Winnipeg 2, Dallas Stars 1. As we mentioned before, comment down below if you guys agree or disagree. What do you guys think? If you're fans of these teams, we would like to hear the comments down below. As mentioned before, hit the subscribe button. We'll be dropping more content. We still got 2 more divisions to get going. Make sure you guys check out our video popping up right now, our preview of the Pacific Division. We dropped that a couple of days ago, so you guys don't want to miss that out as well, especially if you're a fan of one of those teams. We would like to see you guys over there. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.